Hey, you're watching Vinyl 4 Miles, your best resource for music, audio gear, and vinyl reviews. Today we're doing another guitar video. We're looking at Ellis Guitars out of Houston, Texas, and their custom shop, TX2. Stick around. Today we're checking out Ellis Guitars. They are from Texas, and what they specialize in is handmade custom shop guitars. What I have here is the TX2. It's a Telecaster type body. It has a patented electronic system that makes this guitar literally like nothing else on the market. It is hand built, custom made. This thing is absolutely insane, and it is a session guitar player's best friend. The electronic system on here is absolutely crazy. Now, humbuckers typically have 2 coils on them. So we have 2 humbuckers here, which would equate to 4 coils. So we have 2 coils per humbucker. And typically with some custom shop guitars, they'll have a coil split. So if you're on the bridge pickup, you could pull out the volume knob and coil split it, which means it'll go to the far south coil of that humbucker. It'll sound more like a Strat than a Les Paul. What this guitar does is it takes that to the next level, to where you can split both humbuckers and you can have the north or south coil of each humbucker. And not only that, you can split both coils and have both of them on at the same time, which is basically impossible to do without this electronic system. And this guitar literally can sound like a Les Paul, it can sound like a Strat, it can be heavy, it can be light, it could sound almost acoustic. The possibilities are literally endless with this guitar. So what I want to do now is go over the build of this thing, what woods were chosen, what are the specs, and I also want to take off the rear cavity and take a look at some of the wiring and how it looks on the back end. So why don't we go ahead and take a closer look at the build and specifications of this guitar. All right, so this guitar is the TX2 model. It has a Tele style body. Everything on here is very flat, so it does not have a contoured body. The wood you can see here is stacked and it has black binding on it. If you flip over to the back side here, it is a mix of woods, and those woods are maple, which is like more of a hard maple, cocobolo, which is a very exotic wood, and bloodwood. Ellis Guitars specializes in making guitars out of rare woods. Now, a lot of these woods are actually a pain in the ass to work with. They're really hard to shape, they're really hard to sand, so on and so forth. So the fact that he got this cool looking body out of those mixtures of woods is just insane. Now the neck, if we flip it over, it's made from canary wood and cocobolo as well, which you can see the stripe right down the center. So this is a 3-piece neck. The neck also has steel inserts for stability. Now this is one of the most stable necks I've ever played on. I own 3 Kiesel guitars and they use carbon fiber rods down the center, but the hard maple that he's using on here, it just keeps tuning stability. It just feels like a solid neck. Now this does have a 12-inch radius. It is 25.5-inch scale, so this is the Fender scale that we're gonna be dealing with here. which is my favorite scale. I got very big fingers. I'm not a huge fan of 24 1/4 or whatever Les Pauls use or Gibson. I'm always for the 25 or 25 1/2. So I was pretty stoked when I saw he's using pretty much all Fender scales on their website. Now, nothing fancy when it comes to the inlays on this one. They are block inlays. I can't really tell what kind they are. It looks like acrylic. We do have a maple fretboard. Nothing too crazy on the fretboard. Looks like a great piece of maple. It's not flamed. Doesn't have any quilting on it. It looks like we have a Graphtec nut on there. This is what I love about the models here. So your string pull is completely straight. If you follow your low E all the way to the tuner, there's no break point there. It's completely straight. Same thing with the A string, all the way to the tuner, the G, everything on here is straight. That's great, that's for tuning stability. When you have a break point like a Les Paul headstock where all 6 of your strings go straight and then they just shoot out, that could lead to tuning instability. It puts unneeded pressure here. It's just overall not the best design. So what Ellis is doing here has straight string pull, and they go into these nice Spurzl locking tuners. All the hardware on this guitar is matte black, which looks very badass. You can see the angle of the headstock here is actually very straight. There's just a little bit of a dip here to accommodate for the strings coming through and to keep that string pull straight. So there's no need to use a string tree on this guitar. There's no truss rod cover because this is dipping in here. It's a curve, so a truss rod cover actually would not fit on this. Now, Ellis, they're very, very simplistic and minimalistic when it comes to their branding. It's just an E. That's what I have on this t-shirt here too. Very cool, kind of gothic looking E. This is kind of a mix between a Telecaster and a Les Paul. I really like the roller bridge on here. It helps with tuning stability. So we do have a pair of hot rodded Seymour Duncan pickups. The neck, we have a Jazz, I believe it's the SH2, and the bridge we're using the tried and true JB. So the frets that are used on this guitar, I am not quite sure the size on them, but they do feel more like vintage mediums to me, not jumbos. It's very apparent on the first fret here with the vintage style smaller frets. It's a little more difficult to fret the first fret, but this is a custom shop and he could stick on extra large jumbo frets, whatever you want, medium jumbos, if you ask him to. This is the Ellis Guitars patented electronic system. You get 2 volumes, you get 2 dip switches, you get a master volume and a master tone. Master volume, master tone, that affects everything that goes on with this guitar. Individual volume here lets you mix and match the pickups. Now there's a 3-way dip switch right here, there's 2 of them. So this dip switch controls the neck. If you put it to the left, you just turned on the south coil of this custom pickup. If you put it in the middle, that activates both of the coils on this humbucker, so that gets your standard humbucker sound. So if you're used to the sound of a Seymour Duncan Jazz pickup, keep it in the middle. It'll sound just like that. And then if you flip the switch to your right, that will just turn on the south coil. So most guitars, when you split them, you don't get to choose which coil you're splitting. This lets you choose. Same thing with the bridge. So this is the volume knob for the bridge pickup. If you put it to the left, activates the north coil. Middle turns on the whole JB pickup. And finally, if you switch it to the right, that turns on the south coil only. What you can do now is, let's say I want the south coil and the north coil turned on. I can do that. So I just turn the dip switches away from each other. I can mix and match the sound here. So if I want more of the bridge and a little less of the neck, I can just turn down the neck volume about halfway, turn up the bridge volume all the way, and I just mixed in more of the bridge than the neck pickup. Like, you cannot do that with other guitars. That's absolutely insane. This isn't as crazy as it gets. They can put 3 pickups in here. I'm not joking. And you get 3 knobs on the bottom here. I'm gonna show you a picture of what I'm talking about. That's the ultimate session player guitar there. Mix and match 3 pickups at the same time. I can't even imagine how that would sound. The pickups even have these custom wood covers with this really cool black shield that goes around it. And the pull pieces you can see here, they're matte black. I would love to do this to my other pickups because I have a lot of bare pickups that just stick out. So now that we got all of the hardware and the features and the electronics out of the way, I actually want to pop off the back plate and take a deeper look at the electronics. So why don't we go ahead and do that now. This is the electronic system that you get on the inside. We do have copper shielding on the inside, which is really nice. It is using 500K pots, which is great. So you're gonna have the high quality for volume and tone. And what we see here is like a little mini circuit board. And if you look on there, basically what you can do is wire in your neck, your bridge, or if you have a middle, so neck, middle, bridge, individually, and then that wires out to the dip switches and the volume knobs in correlation with that. So pretty much it's really clean. All of the solder joints in here, extremely clean. All right, so now that we've seen the electronics on the inside here, why don't we go ahead and see how this guitar sounds. All right, we've reached my favorite part of the video where we actually get to plug the guitar in, get the raw audio, and show you what it sounds like. So I have a cleaner amp setting here. I'm going direct into Pro Tools, into Helix Native, have some delay and a little bit of reverb on there to kind of fill the sound out. We're gonna start really simple. We're gonna go through the bridge and the humbucker and the neck pickup. So we're not gonna do any of the crazy configurations quite yet. So the first thing we're starting off with is the bridge, dip switch in the middle, volume all the way up for the bridge. That's what the bridge sounds like. Now we're gonna go to the bridge and the neck pickup at the same time. Both the dip switches in the middle, and we're gonna turn both volumes up. If you turn the master down just a little bit, it cleans it up and you get some kind of like cleaner Pink Floyd sounds. If you turn the volume all the way up, hit some power chords, it gets a little bit of grit without even having to turn on a drive. All right, now we're gonna go over to the neck pickup only. So we're gonna go ahead and just turn the volume down on the bridge, dip switch in the middle, neck volume all the way up. So now this is just the jazz pickup. So that is the neck pickup. So why don't we go to some more wild configurations here. I'm gonna split and just do the south coil on the bridge pickup. So I'm gonna turn all my volume off and just do this single coil here. This should sound like a Strat. Sounds very, very Stratty. It's more of a thin sound, but let's say I want to have kind of the Strat sound, but I want to mix in a full neck humbucker. So what I can do is I have the dip switch set to the south position here. I have it in the middle on the neck, and I can just turn up the volume a little bit. I'm going to show you what it sounds like. So let's start mixing in a little bit of that neck pickup. Turn it in just a little bit. Now it's on all the way. That sounds really cool. So now it's more of a fatter Strat sound. If you add in a little bit of drive, all right, so now let's go just to the neck coil. I'm gonna do the north coil on the neck pickup here. So again, this should sound pretty Strat-like. I'm gonna keep the drive on. All right, so now what I wanna do is add in the south coil from the bridge pickup now. So what I'm gonna do now is gonna go to the full humbucker on the neck, and I'm gonna do just the south coil here on the bridge. It sounds really, really smooth. Now we're gonna do both south coils. So the south coil on the neck, south coil on the bridge. All right guys, there you have it. This is the Ellis Guitars Custom Shop TX2. I had a blast playing with this guitar. As you heard in the intro, if you actually sit down, write some music with this guitar, have your parts planned out, the mix can just sound super cool. The tonal possibilities are literally infinite with this guitar. I was just noodling around there, going through the different settings for you guys in the live raw mix there, but even with the raw mix, you can kind of tell how cool it is to mix in the pickups. Completely a game changer when it comes to recording. So again, at the end of the day, this is going to be a session player's best friend when you go to a session. Bring this one guitar. Only thing it can't do is change your tunings. But if you get a pitchfork, you can change your tunings on the fly. It's a great pedal, I used it. I actually recorded the intro song, all the bass that you heard was actually this guitar. I just used the pitchfork and I down-tuned it a full step, ran it through a bass amp, and it sounded like a bass. So this can even do bass sounds if you have a pitchfork. All right guys, so Ellis Guitars out of Houston, Texas. This is the Custom Shop TX2. Check out their website, ellisguitars.us. If you click on the shop button, you can check out in-stock guitars that are pre-made, or you can contact them and get a custom one built for you to your exact specifications. This thing is absolutely insane. Probably one of the most expensive guitars I've had in my house. At least in my collection, nothing's worth as much as this. This does go for 2,500 bucks. If you enjoy this exact guitar and you like the sounds that you just heard, this is for sale on Ellis Guitars website. You can buy this exact model, the TX2 that I just played. It is 2,500 bucks. Hit them up, see what's going on. All right guys, Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. What did you think? Would you order one of these guitars? Have you ever seen a guitar pickup configuration like this before? If you guys want to check out some of my other videos, you can check a playlist up here. I do have some cool stuff coming out. I have another guitar video coming up pretty soon, and I'm going to show you guys some really sweet upgrades to your turntables if you guys are into vinyl. All right, guys, until next time, I am Michael. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.